Joined by Brenden, Nunes, and Frankie Cartoscelli. Fellas, how are you doing?
Happy almost Halloween. It's been fun, not even 24 hours, I guess, but
fun.
Watching some more Kings basketball and having a chance to let that marinate. Not a good marinate. Kind of horrible.
Yeah.
But if they wanted to be 5-0, they'd be 5-0. But
yeah.
They're not ready yet, though.
They just didn't want to.
Brenden, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, some disappointing games from the Kings, but I think also some positives mixed in there for what it's worth. They were toe-to-toe with the defending champs, and if you want to see them go toe-to-toe with the defending champs here in Golden One Center, might have a chance to.
Yeah, and there's so many places we can take this, guys. Number one, let's just get this out the way because I know you saw.
Oh, here we go.
I have a path to help the Kings, and we're going to talk about the path in about 5 minutes here. But I just want to clear something up because it's really irked me. You guys had no problem with the 2 minutes, 24 seconds down 14, pulling them out. No issue. They don't play again until Saturday.
Why'd you have an issue?
I just didn't understand it. It wasn't weird. It wasn't weird at all.
I don't know. I felt like it was over by then.
Okay.
I never gave it any thought personally.
Okay.
I do see your argument though, but I mean, it felt like it was over.
Sure.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and the game was over, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, you're sliding. It's early in the year, granted, but you want to stop the bleeding, and crazier things have happened. I think Zach LaVine, I think it was in Charlotte. I think he by himself brought the Bulls back from a similar deficit.
Yeah.
Went crazy, but that was like 2-3 years ago.
Didn't the Kings, I'm trying to remember, guys, it might have been Suns or the Bucks. There was a game where
Houston?
I don't know if it was 14 in 2 minutes 30 seconds, 2 minutes 24 seconds, but the Kings, they blew something. And I know Kyle brought up the Pistons game when that was 7 points in 40 seconds. But
there's been a lot, man.
It just felt kind of crazy to me. Game 5, you're 1-3 at 2:24 to say, at 14 points, you know what, we're good. And again, I know second half of back-to-back, you don't play again until Saturday.
I thought that Doug's post-game comments were interesting about like, hey, when a group isn't bringing energy, maybe I just need to go in and hockey sub them.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like he was just over the lack of energy.
If y'all don't want to be here, then fine.
That's what it felt like to me.
Okay. That makes more sense. And the other thing is, when it comes to Doug, I do wonder when you're dealing with so many vets, when you're a young team rebuilding, you go in there, you lay into them. You know what I mean? They're young. That's just kind of part of it. I do wonder, is Doug sitting there laying into 36-year-old DeMar DeRozan and 36-year-old Russell Westbrook? I mean, it gets to a point where you know what you're doing wrong. So if you're Doug, first-time head coach with these vets who have been around for so long, how do you even what conversation, how does this even go?
I don't think he's sitting there, laying into anybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, how can you? I mean, these guys are who they are. And I'm looking at the starting five last night, and it's the Kings. The Kings starting five graphic goes viral every night, by the way. I don't know if you guys see it, but every night it goes viral. Like, people are like, someone's got to stop these guys. Like, this is too much. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Wait till Dario Saric is in there.
Yeah, man. It's LaVine, DeRozan, Sabonis, Westbrook, and Schroder. Who's the best defender of those five? Probably Dennis Schroder, right?
Maybe Westbrook.
I was going to say Sabonis.
It's not Sabonis.
There's no clear answer, though, is kind of the point. And when you look at kind of the veterans, especially, laying into DeMar DeRozan to play more defense, that isn't going to do anything at this point. The man's almost 40 years old.
I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying, what do you do?
It's not really in the hands of anybody in the locker room or even on the coaching staff, in my opinion. And I think if you feel different, I'd love to hear your argument. And you can scream, start Keon Ellis, play him 30 minutes. He played 23 last night. And look, I think he's definitely not part of the problem right now. I'm looking at this rotation. I think 8 of the first 9 players that played last night until Isaac Jones came in garbage time were guards. Your only player that was not a guard last night that played was Domantas Sabonis. Mm-hmm. And any other player, and I think we have DeRozan's playing. DeRozan's playing at the small forward for this team, or has been. Plug him in anywhere else, or most of their teams, he's a shooting guard. Yeah. And that's kind of what he's been predominantly for the most of his career. So I'm not looking at it as they got to find the right players to plug in and play, and like maybe Keon should start, and you get back Keegan, which will definitely help. But I'd say if Keegan was playing right now, maybe they're 2-3. Like I don't think it's much crazier to expect more than that, but I think it's much more of a roster construction issue. It's not really rocket science. I don't think I'm inventing the wheel by throwing that notion out there, but it's hard to say what should the Kings be doing differently. What can Doug and this coaching staff do? Does there need to be more of a buy-in or this and that? It's like I think it's more just the collection of talent.
Yeah, and we talked about this with Brett Siegel as well. But Brenden, the way I'm looking at this is that it's very interesting how things get worded, right? Because you have Scott Perry, they have never used the word playoffs. They've never used the word championship. It's all about building identity and building a culture. But it is fascinating because do you think at some point, I'm just trying to figure out how a GM can keep it real enough with obviously not saying, you don't want to blame a ton on the past. You want to look forward. But Scott Perry has kind of tried to not make promises, but he also hasn't said, hey, this roster is a disaster and I'm trying to help. Which
nobody's going to say that.
Nobody's going to say that, but just some type of acknowledgement. And he has said we need to get more athletic. We're in the process of still doing that. But some type of acknowledgement of, this thing, we're trying to duct tape and super glue this thing together. Then Keegan gets hurt. Then Neek gets hurt. And it's just been a rough go because clearly he doesn't have the horses. And I don't think he should have to try to sell us that he does. But it kind of feels like he's stuck in the middle of trying to do both.
I think that he does have to try to sell us on it. Maybe not necessarily us, but I do think he has to try to sell the team on that. Like, I think it's been fairly clear that this organization as a whole has no interest in rebuilding, right? And
rebuilding is interested in them.
I tend to think that's the case, and I would argue that in my mind, if Scott Perry was really trying to win as many games as possible this year, you do a lot more than you did this offseason.
That's exactly what I just said.
And so a lot of it is, we've talked about it before. You've talked about it with a handful of people. Like, their book's clear in 2027. And so what do these 2 years look like in the meantime, this year and next? Are we just killing time with those guys that you have and you're seeing the trade value every trade deadline? You're taking calls, seeing what can work. In the meantime, they might end up with a top 5 pick, or at least in the lottery odds to have a chance, right? They're certainly going to be around where Dallas was last year, and Dallas jumped up into 1. Take that for what you will, right? But I kind of think that they didn't put that much effort into trying to win games this season, which I personally don't have a problem with.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the way to go, but he's also Scott Perry, hired by an organization that doesn't want to just fully reset it. So he's not going to come in and just, hey, I'm going to ship off Zach and DeMar and Domas for anything that I can get right now. It's like, no, let's wait this out. You think this is a good roster? Let me show you. Let's see what we got on our hands right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And people are joking about the secret tank. And I don't know if that's what's going on.
Like a quiet tank?
Yes.
Well, I was kind of thinking about that too. I think that's what we talked about. Like, even me and some buddies were talking about it. They're saying, "What are they doing?" I'm like, "Well, it seems like a quiet tank, but that quiet, it's going to get loud pretty soon because the schedule. I mean, you can't say you're quiet tanking with a 3-11 or 3-12 record. I mean, at that point, you're just a bad team,
right?
And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. And maybe they go to Milwaukee on Saturday and they blow the doors off the Bucks, and we're having a different conversation on Monday. But it really doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I mean, you have Milwaukee, Golden State,
Denver.
OKC
Denver,
again.
man.
You get Minnesota, even though they're missing Ant, but they get them back for the next one. They play them twice in the next 2 weeks. It's just things kind of snowball. There's not really a break. Last night was technically, quote unquote, the break, and the Bulls are undefeated.
Right.
And you have Kevin Herter knocking down threes.
Second
in the face
And
of
Matas. I told you about Matas. I tried to tell you.
Matas is
You in the whole league.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matas was the high pick, bro.
I tell you about
LeBron
Matas.
over here.
Yeah.
I tried to tell
The
you.
new LeBron of 1140.
I'm just trying to tell you, man. But yeah, what's funny to me is that idea of what this roster is. And I said the same thing, Brenden, at the bottom of the 11 o'clock hour. But then I guess Doug Christie is going to get a mulligan, right? He's going to get a pass for this season. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't, but it is funny. They could be very bad, and they're going to say, hey, this isn't on Doug. But wait, hold on. But you told us that you were going to compete.
And
so did you meet expectations or not?
they had a short leash with coaches in the past. Like I'm not so sure that this won't get put on Doug. It's not a fair hand for Doug.
Yeah.
I also, I think there's reasonable questions on if Doug was ready for this position at this point in his career. But I don't know that Doug is just going to get a pass. Like,
what if ownership thinks that this is a good roster?
Right.
And that they should be better? Who takes? We're all assuming that they all know that this is not a good roster. What if that's not the case internally?
When we're going to find out is what they do at the deadline. And I know that that's a whiles to wait here, but as long as they do not make some win now move, that would be the worst case scenario
Now
for this team,
you
to
get
be
John
honest.
Collins.
It depends what we're talking about. Yeah, like something like that, I guess John Collins expiring, whatever, right? But it doesn't do it for me. But I feel like that's when it will become more clear, because if there is this thought of our roster is better than what they are putting on tape right now, than our record, then they're going to go try and make some win now moves. I think that it probably could go the other way. Zach LaVine's balling out offensively. Can somebody talk themselves into, hey, I'm going to trade for Zach. We'll talk him into declining that next year option, and then we'll restructure his contract. So I feel like that's when how they feel internally about this team will become more clear to us, because I think we're kind of all in agreement this is not a very good team.
You take us exactly where I wanted to go, Brenden, and I'm going to lay out something for you, for both of you, and I want to get your thoughts on
Jonathan Kuminga trade.
No, that's over. You better give up DeMontis Sabonis and Keegan. That's over. He's looking great. He's looking great out there. But anyway, I think it's pretty simple, guys, in the short term when it comes to this tank, no tank. I'm not saying to fully tank. I think there's only one move that the Kings need to make everyone feel better. Even a Carmichael Dave, even a Kyle Draper who throws me under the bus. Make everybody feel better. All you got to do is move DeMar DeRozan. I think it's that simple. Now, hear me out. You move DeMar DeRozan. Keegan Murray comes back. Keegan is fine. You want to keep playing him at the 4, you play him at the 4. Now you're starting Keon. Now you're either starting Keon or you're starting Neek, right? Kings fans right now, the organization, it's like you're in a 36, 37-year-old desert just looking for some type of youth, right? The fountain of youth. They're looking for that somewhere, something to enjoy. You move DeMar, that's more shots for Keegan, more shots for Keon, more shots for Neek. Every single night, you're at least moving towards, hey, Keegan might be our third option now. You're probably still competitive, or I don't think you're any less competitive, to be honest with you. You're moving towards something. Zach is still showcasing. You never know what happens there. Domas offensively has a greater hand in this than he's had. I think in the short term, guys, you could still end up stinking, being entertaining and stinking and getting that top 5 pick. I think that is a quicker way. When everybody gets scared off from the tanking, you move DeMar. That's 2 slots where you can go youth movement, and I'm counting Keegan there, but Keegan getting more shots, you bring in a Neek or a Keon to start, and at least every night we're saying, hey, look, Keegan took 50 shots, whatever it is. I think that is the quickest way to make everybody just feel a little bit better about the situation.
Yeah, I think that, yes, by moving DeMar DeRozan, you unclog things a bit and you get the movement in the areas where you want movement. Like you said, Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray, etc. But I wonder, I think DeMar's making $24 million. I might have to double check.
It is.
I think that's about right.
How do you move that, though? Who out there is going to be calling saying we want to take on the rest of DeRozan's contract?
Next season not guaranteed.
Yeah, but, I mean, you're still having to take on a large chunk. Right now, I mean, the season just started, so
Yeah.
you're still on the hook for the most of that $25 million.
You'd want to find like expiring contract in return.
Yeah,
ideally, which
and
is hard.
It was supposed to be Terry Rozier.
What are we going to do?
That's crazy.
Are we
It was
going
supposed to be
That's
Terry
crazy.
Rozier.
Stop it.
It was.
Kyle Kuzma is the name that people are already throwing
Doesn't
out
he have
there.
2 years? The problem is he's got 2 years.
I think so, but the salaries aligned, the Kings have been tied to him forever. That's not me, by the way. I'm not
I
saying
would
this
do it
team
if he's
this team
coming
needs
off the
Kyle
bench.
Kuzma. I don't think it helps at all. I think it adds to the problem in a different way. You have another player
He's
here.
younger.
That quote will stick out forever. I know it's been like 5 years, but the Buddy Hield, remember the Buddy Hield trade where Kyle said he was going to, he's like, I was about to go off and sack.
Oh, yeah.
I think that still holds true for even a worse Kings team. But I agree. I think DeMar DeRozan's a Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the best scorers the game has seen, and I have a lot of respect for what he brought to the game and still can bring to the game. I don't think that he really fits on this roster. And I think that we're all agreeing on that. I'm saying that as respectfully as I can. And that's why I think that I agree. If one player was to be moved or should be moved right now, it should be him because he doesn't fit the offense right now. I think, Brenden, you put out the other day, the Kings are top 2, top 3 in mid-range.
Number one.
By a lot. Excuse me.
By a lot.
Mid-range scoring.
Per cleaning the glass.
Thank you.
They're last in the league in made three-pointers. They have no outside aspect of their game right now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that most of their field goal attempts, all of them, are coming in the mid-range.
In the office. They're in the office.
In his office.
All the time.
So that's why I'm looking at it like, okay, if we're going to grade this season on a non-win-loss record, which I'm trying to wrap my head around, it's hard when you watch and the players are playing these games, they want to win. When we're watching from our perspective, if you're a fan, you want to watch this team win. Mm-hmm. Having to go back to that mindset, which has been a while for Kings fans and for Kings media as well, putting ourselves back in that evaluate and not grade on record is going to be hard. But I'd much rather see, like we talked about, Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray, Max Renaud, who looked really rough in that first game, but seeing him just get those young guys, Neat Clifford when he comes back, which we should have an update on him tomorrow or Saturday.
Yeah.
Having those guys play big minutes because the season we're getting to the point now where if this stretch goes the way we think it's going to go, it doesn't really matter. Get the pick you want to get. That's where I'm at. But at the same time, it's like, well, who's going to take DeMar DeRozan? Who's going to take Zach LaVine? If he keeps playing this way, maybe his value gets better. I don't think anybody's going to take Domantas Sabonis' contract.
No.
So, and Russell Westbrook's non-guaranteed. You could waive him whenever you want, or hold on to him if he keeps playing well and see if you can get something back from somebody. But I just look at it as the Kings are still in a problem of, yeah, that's a good idea, but how do they offload these players? And they probably can't until we get closer to the deadline.
Yeah, we're stuck right now. There's nothing that's going to happen, I would say, until January. I don't even know how something could happen before January. It'd have to be, and obviously we don't want this, it'd have to be some type of injury. Legitimately, it would have to be some type of injury. And you got Anthony Simons out there who makes, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much the same as DeMar, same type of player, and I believe he's expiring. So why wouldn't a team that needs scoring go get Anthony Simons would be higher on the list, is my point.
Anthony is slept on in my mind.
He probably is, but he's one of those Malik Monk. Yeah. Cam Thomas, all these guys are just the same type of player that nobody likes right now. Now, a league that doesn't value defense is mad at all the scorers for some reason. Go figure. But that's my thought on it, guys. And if you can, and I hear what you're saying, Frank, I think if you're talking about some other bad contracts, I know the Magic need shooting, and DeMar just kind of clogs things up.
No.
I think the other part of it is it's more so just about this is what I was going to say, Frank. Your argument that this team, if you move DeMar, would be worse, right?
Which could be good.
I also don't know if it's true. I don't necessarily know. I've been waiting for the office to open up in the fourth quarter. He's been bad in the fourth.
DeMar?
I thought DeMar was going to take over against the Lakers, his hometown team, even though he's at home now, even though he's 7 hours away. Then I thought he was going to take over last night against the young Bulls. He didn't foul out Matas. Matas sat there with 5. I'm not saying, look, washed, not washed. I'm not saying that DeMar DeRozan is a Hall of Famer. We know he put up 19 points. But on top of the issue of fit, you're not even getting closer DeMar right now that can kind of shut things down and say, wow, okay, because that's what it was last season. The step through against the Mavericks. DeMar doesn't make any sense, but dang it, especially once we moved on from De'Aaron Fox, dang it, we still need him. Or if De'Aaron, you get the pinky, dang it, at least we had DeMar DeRozan. He's not even doing that early on this season.
No. It's a good point because they're clutch scoring in general and just clutch play overall has been bad. The second half of these games has been bad overall. I think when DeMar has looked good and had stretches of being able to get to his mid-range whenever he wants, he's the main guy on that second unit. And it helps to have the spacing of Keon and Malik out there alongside him. Like, the spacing of these units sucks. There's 3 guys constantly on the floor that nobody cares about shooting. I'm sorry, but Russ's corner 3, sure,
hold
that
on
is
now.
honestly cash.
That's water.
It's for real cash.
That's water.
It is cash, Defenses,
Yeah, right here.
he does. Defenses are going to let him shoot that all day long.
Yes.
You know, maybe they'll start to take away that corner spot, but that's it, right? Teams are not worried about Dennis shooting. Teams are not worried about
I can't
DeMar
wait to talk
shooting
about
from
Dennis
three.
Schroder,
I'm sure we'll
cannot
get
wait.
to DeMar. Teams are not worried about Domas shooting. That's for sure.
Well, he got it. He stopped
made
the
his
quick
first
trigger.
one. He made his first one yesterday.
What happened to that? I mean, he was like 38% last year.
No. Well, he stopped the quick
40.
trigger.
40.
I think he got to 40.
He premiered the quick trigger during the preseason, and it was terrible. Now he's gotten rid of the quick trigger three.
I think it's still here a little bit.
It
though.
is. It's definitely not the free throw.
You can't
three.
just like get rid of it. You worked on it all off season.
And why? Why? Out of all the things Domantas Sabonis needed to work on this offseason, who told him, you know what? I know nobody's within 10 feet of you, but you need to get that three off much quicker. Who told him that?
I do. I see the
He had to
logic
work on it.
of, hey, you got to 40% last year, but you only shot 2 a game. If we can make this on real volume and you're still around 36, 37, then teams do have to guard you.
but
right?
who
So I
was
see the
closing
logic.
out on him?
Nobody, but
Nobody.
that's why you shoot it faster, though, is because you're trying to convince people that, hey, you do need to close out on me. I'm just saying. I see the logic there.
Okay.
Clearly, it did not work in his favor. But a big problem here is that we don't know what this team does well consistently.
You seen Şengün?
The spacing, yes.
Don't bring it up.
Hey, listen, you bring that thing behind
You
your
seen
head. Nobody's
Şengün?
blocking it no
Yeah.
matter how slow it is.
Jokic.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
But
Jokic's shot is crazy. That's an anomaly. That's
know.
crazy.
You seen Walker
The ball
Kessler?
touches the middle of his back when he shoots.
I'm just saying.
hey,
Whoever
Domas
told him
can
that.
shoot like Walker Kessler, okay?
Whoever told him
I'm just
that.
saying. I just don't think that it is hard for DeMar to get into his bag, into his office in the fourth quarter when everybody else is trying to knock on that door right around his office too.
It's like
because
when-
nobody's willing to wait in the lobby.
Yeah, it's like when, before Frankie had an office, hey, can I take this meeting in the office? No,
Right.
somebody else is in the
You're
office.
like, no, this is my office, bro. My name is on the front. What are you talking about?
In the tech world, we would have the meeting rooms. And if you didn't reserve a meeting room, then you'd have a meeting with no meeting room. And you'd be at your desk taking a Zoom call with somebody 2 rows down from you because the meeting rooms are all blocked. Everybody's in the meeting room.
Someone's having an egg salad sandwich
It
in the
smells, and
background.
it's tuna.
It's
It's
tuna
disgusting.
sandwich.
And there's too many people in the damn office. I'm done with the office. Kyle thought the office was specifically DeMar DeRozan thing. I said, no, Kyle, they all have
yeah.
offices.
Yeah.
I did hear you say that.
So I went back and rewatched Game 4 of the playoff series between the Kings and Warriors, which Mark did for ESPN. I heard De'Aaron Fox going into his office on the same shot. I was like, oh, so he's just reusing it.
I miss DeMar's office. If DeMar had the office, they have 3 wins right now. They're what, 3-2?
I don't know,
No,
man.
DeMar last season, they beat the Lakers and they beat the Bulls. They do.
Can we just
He's
say,
been bad in the fourth.
I will say, like, Keegan fixes a lot of this.
And he might actually, fine. I'll give you the Austin Reeves 50. They beat the Suns. They win 2 out of those 3.
I feel like he was in his office a little bit in Phoenix. That might have been the closest thing to it. Dylan Brooks was in there in that meeting.
Dylan Brooks made himself a part of it.
Kyle,
Dylan Brooks punched a hole in the wall of that office.
I just want to know what their record is in the fight and if they knew what they had for breakfast.
They know what you ate for breakfast.
What?
They know what you ate for breakfast.
Doug's had so many of these this year,
Doug
man.
has had a lot of
What is
close.
this?
Got a lot of cliches. That's defensive pressure.
They know what you ate for breakfast.
I want to be so in their face that they can smell what I ate for breakfast.
They didn't have
They
breakfast.
did not know what Austin
They
Reeves
know
had.
what you ate for breakfast.
They did not know what Austin Reeves had for breakfast. They
No.
definitely didn't know what Matas had for breakfast.
No.
According to my math, I think they're 3-2 in the fight this year.
Sure.
They knew.
Sure. There's just nothing that this team does consistently good. They can't defend the perimeter. They have no rim protection. They
They can score in the mid-range well.
They can score in the mid-range, but sometimes they can't even get to the mid-range because they don't have shooters on the floor.
Everybody's in the mid-range together. Everyone's
is.
there.
Everybody is. Russ and Dennis are both trying to take 2 dribbles and pull up at the freaking elbow.
Yeah, the quote that went viral as far as Doug Christie was concerned, I'm sure you guys saw it because everybody saw it when it basically was the monotony and talking about essentially the players being bored at 1-3, which is unfathomable to me. Kyle, can we play it quickly?
Blow-bys, gambling, fundamentally when they do it the correct way, we see that it can be done. But it's almost like sometimes we get a little bored with the monotony of doing things the right way and having success at it. But, I mean, pretty simplistic. I have to go back and watch the film, to be honest with you.
Very close to Luke Walton. Got to go back and watch the tape. Very close.
What did you think? Somebody said, a couple people said it was Doug kind of not throwing the players under the bus, but saying, hey, they're not ready to play type deal. I do see that we're up against it, so we'll get your guys' reaction on the other side. And we are also going to have a conversation about future All-Star Dennis Schroder. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports. Brenden Nunes.
Hey.
Frankie Cartoscelli.
Hey.
My guys helping me get to 2 p.m. Couple more segments with you guys. And before the break, we discussed what Doug Christie had to say. It seems sometimes we get a little bit bored with the monotony of doing things the right way and having success at it. This went, and Jeremiah Salmonson, he's who kind of turned this into the Kings beat writer, kind of turned this into a quote for Twitter, and it went pretty viral on Twitter because people just did not expect, I don't think, Doug to go in that direction and kind of go at the players a little bit. Some people thought it was a bad look for Doug, kind of Mike Brown-esque. Some people said, hey, well, the players are the players and they got to do their jobs. What were your initial thoughts when you saw this? Because it was kind of all over, and I think people were surprised that Doug went in this direction.
I didn't see that Jeremiah was the one who tweeted it, so I pulled it up right now. I love that at the end he just put yikes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yikes.
Of course.
I think that they are asking players to do things that are a little bit outside of their wheelhouse, and at some point they're going to kind of revert a little bit to what they typically do, and the ball movement that you see in the first half of these games is not exactly a staple for Zach LaVine, Dennis Schroder, and DeMar DeRozan. It's not that these guys are not willing passers or anything, but when it comes down to it, like, they're best at putting the ball on the deck and kind of getting their own, mainly specifically Zach and DeMar. And same thing on the defensive end. It's like, hey, Zach looks really good the first half defensively and then starts to tail off a little bit. And that, to me, Doug does need to push them in that direction, but it goes back to the roster flaw, of you are trying to have strengths that do not bode well and isn't complementary of the roster that you have on this team. So eventually, hey, they're starting to play in that direction. Eventually, they're going to revert back to just what they typically do as players, in my mind.
Frank?
No, I completely agree. I mean, it's all kind of one-dimensional kind of. I think I put it out last night. It just doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense, really. That's why I'm not looking at it as a. It's hard to kind of look at it as not in a big picture type of way. Mm-hmm. And it's hard when you're going game by game and you're getting quotes game by game and you're kind of finding different storylines for each time they go out there. But it's a much larger question, a much larger issue. And I think Dave and Jason talked about this morning how, I think Jason said it, how there kind of feels like we're in this waiting room right now. We're kind of in the waiting room and we're, it's been a while. We're kind of waiting for us to get called on, like at the doctor's office. We're kind of just waiting, man. Sometimes you got 45 minutes or an hour in there.
Yeah.
You
got to get offices today.
A lot of offices today.
Oh, there are
we're
a
in
lot
the
of
office.
We are.
We're in the office. Michael
Not in the
Scott.
fourth.
Not in the fourth. No. But it's just such a hard. This team is just such a conundrum, man. And it not to get off topic, get off base, but we talked about Game 4 in 2023 or what have you. I think our good pal Drew, the local guy, put up a video yesterday of the clock winding down in Game 2 and just how did we get to this point? It just feels like it's all just kind of one big alternate universe right now that they're kind of trying to fight their way out of. So I don't know, man. I get it, but it's just kind of like, where do we go from here? It just kind of doesn't make sense.
Can I have a brief moment of
Sure.
a little bit of optimism?
Yeah, no, of course. This is an optimistic show.
Hey, man.
I get why it's a negative feeling around everything right now. I am going to side with Draper a little bit here for a moment, that I do think their game in OKC was pretty encouraging. You took, albeit, no Chet Holmgren, no Jalen Williams, They were in that game the entire time. I think they won for, 36? They were winning for 36 of the 48 minutes or something like that.
I was going to say, what'd you put up? They led like 90% of the game.
Yeah, something like that. It might have even been in the 40s, but they led for most of that game. And I do think, like I'll tell you right now, I think they're going to beat one of Denver or Milwaukee. I do think that they've been close in all of these games. That late game execution that you pointed to is what needs to be cleaned up here, and a lot of other things. Don't get me wrong. I don't think this is a good team. But I do think that they're not winning 1 out of every 4 games throughout the entire season. Like, they have at least been close in a lot of these matchups.
Yeah.
But you need your recipe, like we talked about. If it's not DeMar, then who?
Right.
And the closing lineup, I kind of think it needs to find some consistency there, too. And I think we kind of found late in games, we've looked at it before, like saying, well, Malik's not in right now. And they have Westbrook in. And Malik, I think it was against the Lakers was cooking. I can't remember if it was the Lakers, but he was really had a good game. And at a certain point, they had to take him out, brought in Westbrook.
Last night, Malik came in for Dennis pretty late in that game.
Yeah, and I think he had a pretty good stretcher, pretty good run. Malik's had a pretty good year overall. I don't really look at him as a problem. I think out of all the players last night, not the plus minus is everything, but the starters are just a train wreck every night. They're all the starters last night are in the minus 20s, except Westbrook. Shout out Westbrook FC. And then also, that's the thing. It's like, is this a bad team? No, the Kings aren't. That's why it's kind of frustrating. They have a lot of good players. It's going to be a team we look back on in 3-4 years and be like, oh my goodness, they had Westbrook and DeRozan and Sabonis and Levine, Schroder. They still couldn't figure it out.
And then you say it was 2025.
But it feels like the same thing with 2015. Back when I was in college and they had Rudy Gay and Rajon Rondo. They threw Caron Butler on that team. They had Boogie, who was in his prime. And we're not quite to his point just yet. The Kings don't really have a player you can look at like a Boogie or a De'Aaron Fox, and they're kind of stat stuffing in losses. But the only thing I cared about back in those days was, is Boogie going to score 35? Yeah. And right now it's kind of like, is Zach LaVine going to keep scoring 30? He scored 30, I think, in 4 of the first 5 games. So at this point, I'm looking at it as if this team was going to, if we're going to look on the more positive side and say, how can they win games? And if we're looking at it as how can they win going forward, what is your late game recipe? Because like we talked about, if DeRozan's not going to be punched into his office, Zach LaVine's not really kind of that point of attack guy like De'Aaron Fox, the DeRozans, the Steph Currys, those guys that are up for the Clutch Player of the Year award every year. It's DeRozan. DeRozan's your guy, or Malik Monk. And Malik, sometimes we kind of find, isn't on the floor for the majority of those crunch times. They're putting Westbrook in more. So that's what I'm looking at it as, what is your late game formula? And are you going to be consistent with it to kind of give these guys a chance to come win these close games? Because like we talked about, every game has been close so far. Last night, maybe being the only one that wasn't really that close, but it was at the beginning of the 4th. So you got to find the recipe that works.
I already regret my take.
Why?
That they're going to win one of the next 2.
No, they're going to.
Crazy.
But I think they will have a chance in at least one of these games.
The Nuggets, and I told you, the Nuggets thing, what we saw, the reason that Thunder game did nothing for me, number one, come on, man. No Chet, no Jalen. I know no Neek and no Keegan, but come on now.
And they're on a back-to-back. Okay, see,
and they're on a back-to-back. That's what happens against the Nuggets every time they play, Brenden.
It's true.
Every time they play. So it's just something I've seen before. Frankie, you bring up a good point, though, about the DeMar DeRozan office. And I've gone from trying to trade DeMar DeRozan to now saying there needs to be more DeMar DeRozan. Because this morning, I had the morning shift, and I was watching Get Up on the 4-letter network. They were talking about the Buffalo Bills, okay? And Andrew Hawkins, okay? Andrew Hawkins was talking about the Bills, and he was saying right now the Bills don't really have a number one. Shakir is good, but the term he used was everybody is eating, right? All the skill position players are eating, but nobody is getting full, right? Or nobody's being fed. In a weird way, if you're not going to move on from DeMar, it doesn't have to be all game, but I've always been on record, when it's closing time, DeMar can do his thing, and I don't know, like the fact that as much as I want Domantas Sabonis to be a part of this offense, and he had 18 last night, when it's closing time, it needs to be DeMar. I have no problem the last 5 minutes, it's DeMar time. If you're going to be on the team, you might as well let him do what he does. I don't care about distributing the basketball within the last quarter, really.
Well, it's hard though because the quote-unquote beam team. It feels weird calling them the beam team now because they're
still the beam team.
Yeah,
man.
but
are they
the beam team? What made them so great? I'm saying great. They were a top 4 seed. Was the ball movement and the cohesiveness, and that just isn't really a thing right now with this
But
team.
what about closing time?
Closing time, there still was that kind of De'Aaron Fox, believe it or not, did a good job of setting up his teammates. I think he averaged 6 assists per
Remember that
game for his
Chimezie Metu
career.
game winner?
Found him in the corner, didn't force it.
Kevin Huerter game winner?
Kevin Huerter.
Kevin Huerter, man,
Fox
last night.
Fox missed
Both against Utah.
He missed 2 floaters before that.
Oh, that's right.
Before then they got
That's
2
right.
offensive boards. For
176,
that
175 game is Malik who hit the game tire.
Yeah, I just think that I get it. Like, and you're right. With this team, the best chance they have late in the game is to find, like we talked about, your best point of attack scorer and someone who's going to go get you a bucket or get to the free throw line. And the Kings have not been getting to the line either. And that kind of goes hand in hand with DeMar DeRozan not being the DeRozan we've seen from years past, because he did a good job of getting to the line a lot. And maybe he's gotten to the line more than anybody on the Kings so far, but it's not enough still. It's
Kings
not
are
enough.
29th in free throw attempts this year.
It's absurd.
Crazy.
Because they're just living in the mid-range. No one's attacking the basket.
And the fouls that do get called, they're not even really that organic. It's the DeMar hand in the cookie jar fouls.
Yeah,
they're
someone
not
jumped.
even legit to the rack. You got hacked.
I think that I agree with you. It needs to be the DeMar show in that fourth quarter. And in my mind, if that's the case, I'm sorry, but Dennis Schroder doesn't need to be on the floor. Like, I think that's where you need spacing. That's the crux of my conversation here, right? Is that you need spacing. Dennis doesn't do that for you. 2 of your best shooters are on the bench, and not counting Keegan Hurt, but Keon and Malik. And I think Malik also being able to get those paint touches and spray out to shooters. I think Malik should be on the floor late in the game. And I see why Russell Westbrook is at times, because he plays way bigger than he actually is, right? Like, if it's a matchup where you need size, then I see why you need to have Russ out there. But I think their best offensive group is going to be DeMar, Zach, Malik, Keon, and Domas right now.
And that leads us to our last segment. Let's have a conversation about the new guard and the new guards on the Sacramento Kings. Dennis Schroder, where you at, MVP? Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports. He's going to change things. He's going to be a big help.
Allen Stiles?
Dennis Schroder, 2 of 9 last night. Did have 7 assists. He had 5 points. Guys, give me your breakdown, and we can talk Westbrook as well, but I don't want to tick anybody off from the Westbrook fan club. I really want to know what your thoughts
Why not,
are.
man? Come on, say what you feel.
Westbrook, he was great. Only a -3. He played well.
Come on, say what's
played
weighing
well.
on your soul.
No, he
He played great.
He played outstanding. But Dennis Schroder, on the other hand, he's a real problem. But no, seriously, guys,
He has a hive too, by the way. He has a group of supporters.
can't be anything like the Westbrook hive.
You have
Germans.
Yeah, can't be. I'll take my chances.
We'll cut what you're about to say and we'll see how it does.
Sure. All right. That's messed up. Dennis Schroder, guys, what have been your thoughts about him? I don't know what to make of him. He was taking 16 shots a game. Last night, he distributes it more. I'll give you this, and I don't mean it to be a leading question at all, but I just don't necessarily see him, and maybe he was never supposed to, but I don't really see, it's not that easy to see his impact. The way they talked about him to start the season and training camp, and we were all drinking the training camp Kool-Aid, I was asking the question, are we talking about the same guy? And clearly we weren't, because he hasn't been bad. He's been Dennis Schroder. And I can see why, to your point, Brenden, which you took us there after the last segment, he could easily come off. I know he's making $15 million, but this dude could easily come off the bench, and I don't know how worse off this team would be.
I mean, I think at some point it's going to have to be a discussion, because he fits the bill right now really as someone who looks like a backup point guard. Mm-hmm. And from the eye test, and the numbers tell you too, I mean, if you're looking at what a point guard can bring to the table, the best point guard on the roster for the Kings right now is Russell Westbrook. I mean, that's not, I don't think it's that hard to say that Russell Westbrook is the best option at the point guard right now for them. I don't know. I mean, I get it. 6.5 or 4 assists per game from Schroder, that's been good. He's near a career high in turnovers per game at 2.6. So the turnovers have been kind of a concern. The shooting's non-existent. The three-point shooting isn't there. We know that's kind of what he does for his career. He's very streaky. 34% for his career. I think he was really good with Brooklyn last year with them after the Golden State trade. So it's a mixed bag. But it kind of comes back to the main question during the offseason, which was, what was their affinity with him to where the opening hour free agency, you signed him to to a big contract. And just looking through contracts that are in a similar range, you have Daniel Gafford in Dallas. You have Danny Avila in Portland. You have P.J. Washington in Dallas. Steven Adams in Houston. Dame Lillard, that's kind of a cheaper deal because he's rehabbing. Karis LeVert, Obi Toppin. Herb Jones is making less money.
Obi Toppin.
Chet Holmgren's making less money this year. Then he goes to 41 next year. My goodness, different discussion there. But it just kind of was a head scratcher to me. And I'm wondering if it was a move the Kings made because we talk about this quote-unquote soft tank. Was Schroder brought in because of his contract? Makes it you can negotiate in trades. It's a decent sized salary with the potential to move. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, but if you're looking at it as Dennis Schroder should be the starting point guard until April, I really have a hard time agreeing with that, especially from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, and it's so funny what you said because Dennis Schroder was outstanding on the Nets, right? And that got him to Golden State. It did not work out in Golden State. I don't remember, and I know DeAnthony Melton was involved, how he got to the Pistons. But my point is, Dennis Schroder is who he is. When you were talking, Frankie, I thought, well, he's not playing extremely well. I don't even think it matters. Dennis Schroder is just Dennis Schroder. If a team if the Rockets wanted Dennis Schroder, doesn't matter how he's playing with the Kings because Dennis Schroder is just Dennis Schroder. And that's what he was always going to be. And for some odd reason, the Kings tried to convince us that he was going to unlock this offense. And I know no Keegan yet, but I'm done arguing with the Westbrook fan club because Westbrook can start. The problem is I just don't think they need to start both of them.
I think that Dennis does help with the pace of this team, and that's something they really need is that like the defensive pressure. We have seen that in the Phoenix game is where it probably stands out most. He has the 8-second violation and then draws a charge on, I think it was Devin Booker, right? Like there's moments where that has helped and then pushing in transition on the other end because their half-court offense looks really bad. And I think that Dennis is part of that. It's not necessarily his fault, but it's just the fit of all the pieces, right? He's getting to the rim, percentage of shot attempts, right? Cleaning the glass again, 15% of his shot attempts this year have come from at the rim. I love these guys. Last year as a whole was 27. He's usually in the mid-20s to sometimes even 40% of his shot attempts come at the rim. It's 15% right now. Because he cannot get to the basket.
Because there's too many people.
He can't get to the basket
DeRozan's
because
in his
the
office
has a crazy line.
DeRozan's in his way in the office.
And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but sometimes he's still trying to throw it up around the rim because I think that's what he's accustomed to. And man, the finishes have been bad. But he's forcing it a little bit because there's really bad spacing. And he's not somebody that's going to help space the floor for DeMar or Zach or these other guys either. So I think you're seeing the defense. You're seeing him push the pace. But this is a guy that excels getting downhill and making plays from there. And it's all uphill in the half court for the Kings.
And you got Westbrook in the corner, though.
Hey, dude, that is cash, bro.
And
it's
then,
really cash.
No, that's water.
Game on the line, right?
Yeah.
Kings are down 2.
Yeah.
Russ takes a wide open catch and shoot corner 3. Do you think it's going in?
I'm celebrating.
I think it's cash.
I'm celebrating with Russ.
I think it's cash.
I'm definitely celebrating. And Frank, I want your thoughts. And somebody, Dynamic Butterfly, wants to bring up Domantas Sabonis. So we'll do some Domantas Sabonis before we get you guys out of here too. But yeah, Frank, your thoughts on Dennis Schroder and what the new guards that came on in.
I don't know. It also, I'm looking at it as far as like the Kings. I feel like we've seen a lot of pick and roll stuff with them, and Malik Monk's done a good job with having a pick and roll partner. I think weird enough, him and Alex Len in the second unit were pick and roll partners. And Domantas Sabonis he's a pass first center. He's trying to facilitate and find teammates, and he's not really an ideal partner for Schroder, who I think throughout his career, I think he's had a decent amount of pick and roll partners. Mm-hmm. And I just don't really know who that is, or if there's a player on the roster who can bring you that, because they're so one-dimensional right now, and as far as their offensive game plan, and he doesn't fit it. He doesn't fit the bill.
Yeah.
So is there room for improvement, and could we change our tune a little bit? Sure. He can knock down a couple more threes and get those percentages up, and the assist numbers are good. But I just feel like on this roster and on this team, I do agree with Brenden that the pace is good. Like the Kings in transition, like that's an asset, but you have to finish on the play. You have to complete the play, and that's not happening right now. So I think Keegan coming back will help bring some balance. Restructuring the starting lineup. I don't know when that conversation is going to happen, but if you're going to restructure the starting lineup, I think you have to start with the point guard spot. I mean, because when Keegan comes back, who's getting bumped? out of this 5 right now? Probably Westbrook.
He will get bumped.
Probably Westbrook.
Definitely Russ.
But is that the best move? At the best, it's probably a wash. I think it's probably a wash at best. And like we talked about with Schroder, he's just Dennis Schroder, and that's not a knock at all. He's been a 12-year veteran. Yeah. And there's a chance he gets in the Hall of Fame because, again, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame, not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's for his resume from overseas, playing with Germany. He's done a lot for them. Yeah. People say it's him and Dirk, I think, for the best basketball players in the history of Germany. The Wagner brothers are probably going to – or not the Wagner brothers, but, Franz will have –
the shot at Mo right there is crazy.
Come on, man. Franz is a different level here.
Come on, man.
All right, both.
He's
Put them
better
together.
than Paolo, Franz.
Well, sure. But I just feel like what he's done for the game is great. But that doesn't mean he's the best option for the Kings.
No, but it was what they tried to the bill of goods that they sent us.
What do you keep? Who said that he was going to? I don't remember anyone saying he was going to.
It was Scott Perry, Doug, Keegan.
Yeah, but
it was. Oh no!
But they have to do. They have to do that.
They didn't have to do that.
They do.
They didn't.
It's optics. It's all about optics, man. That's
didn't.
the organization. They have to tell you.
They
have to tell you the player is going to be impactful and good. They just gave him $15 million a year.
I do remember having a conversation with Allen where I was very much on his side here of being like, dude, they are hyping him up. But I also agree with you. This is what they're going to do. That is their offseason acquisition.
That's on you to drink that Kool-Aid.
We can keep it real. Let's keep it real about Domantas Sabonis before we get you guys out of here. Has probably his best game last night. He had 6 assists, 18 points, 11 rebounds.
Yeah.
He hasn't really been that hub that we've seen. I don't really see the simpatico between him and Dennis Schroder. What are your thoughts on Domantas Sabonis? I mean, all three of us immediately said there's no way he's being traded. The streets are saying he might be a worse contract than Zach LaVine right now. Nah. What are your thoughts on Domantas Sabonis? Let's start with you, Brenden.
Yeah, I mean, he was having the best game of his season last night until I'm thinking about the OKC game. The OKC game, he was playing pretty well too, and then at least on the glass, and then Lou Dort comes in and just totally steals his cookies.
He missed some bunnies. Hartenstein kind of owns him.
Hartenstein, plays him well. I mean, I think that you got to keep in mind this is a guy that came back a little bit early from a hamstring injury, and I don't know that it just makes you question if he was moving the best, but this is where there's really too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Because Domas is one of those there, and it's something we're going to keep coming back to. The kitchen, the office, whatever, all of it above today, is that he's a guy that finishes plays, right? And he can create for other players, but when you're talking his own offense, he's finishing plays. It's that pick-and-roll partner. When Malik Monk came into the game yesterday, the Kings were 0-4 from 3. Malik comes in, splashes a 3 right away. Next possession, gets into a pick-and-roll with Sabonis, hits that pocket pass, Domas, easy finish, right? Like that two-man game and Malik setting up Domas, that's how Domas gets his buckets. And like Dennis hasn't been doing that. He also is typically out there with DeMar and some of these other non-shooters, Russ, corner, whatever.
I'm cutting that.
Yeah, there you go. So I just don't – I think Dennis can grow a chemistry with him. Zach's chemistry with Domas is more of, hey, I'm going to give you this ball so I can get it right back, Right. And Domas helps him, but I don't think he helps Domas score necessarily in the way that De'Aaron did, for example. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just a roster construction thing. At the beginning of the year, we're like, who is losing shots here? In the process of all this, the answer has been Domas. And I just kind of think that's what's going on more than anything. And he can't hit a 3.
Yeah, and the defense. The defense is just and I know we got to go in a minute, but I put it out today. A lot of beautiful numbers. They're all horrible, but the points in the paint, they're near the bottom of the league in points in the paint allowed. They're 27th out of 30 teams, and I have a feeling they're going to probably be near 29 or 30 after you get a matchup with Giannis and Jokic, because barbecue chicken, man. Nobody in the Kings can stop him, but Domantas Sabonis, no offense, but he gets cooked by Giannis and Jokic every time.
But everybody gets cooked by them.
But it's more so. The Kings had to start Alex Len the last time they played Denver. All last year they were starting Alex Len. They did was that the 2 big lineup game against Denver?
I just had the thought of Russell Westbrook guarding Giannis Antetokounmpo.
No. But think about it, though.
Put my head down.
He's listed as a power forward last night.
No. Yeah. They got Miles Turner. I did not. Kyle reminded me yesterday.
No, that's where
what the hell are they going to do? Then you got to face Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Jokic, whatever. Aaron Gordon.
The athletic scoring forwards.
He
Yes.
picked up DeRozan by his collar last game
It's true.
and scored 20 in what felt like the first quarter.
Oh, don't worry. After that, we've got Chet and Hartenstein. And then after that, we've got
And
Julius Randle.
Julius Randle is going to be a problem.
I'm not trying to be rude. I think if the Kings rolled Keegan out there and just had him like with a hand in his arm in a sling, they'd be better off with the options they have right now. I'm not. I really think so because man,
There's no way.
they're in.
Maybe.
Who do they go with? And this is no shots at these guys either. This is not what they're here for. But Isaac Jones, is he going to
Yeah, it's
start?
got to be IJ, hot honey. It's got to be hot honey.
Against Giannis, you put Domas on Giannis, and you have Russell Westbrook on Miles Turner.
Crazy.
It's gonna be
Like, this is a actual conversation.
Actual
On an
conversation.
actual radio
Just
station.
strap
It's
in.
true.
Just strap in.
Russ is about to battle on the glass.
It's
with
gonna be a
Giannis.
long-
That's why they started calling me fat, because I was talking about Russ Garden.
Did you talk about it on the air?
I talked about it on the crosstalk. Yeah, and they called me fat
Westbrook
because I
MCs.
said I called Westbrook guarding marketing cute. So then they started fat shaming me.
when they say diet.
Diet. That's all they said.
one
and
word.
They said, who is this bum? Another Tubsters. That's what they keep saying. So I love Westbrook, and I hope he guards Miles Turner and Giannis at the same time because he can do it.
Well,
he can do anything.
To be fair, that's what they say. They say
Why not?
He's been doing this for his whole career.
Yeah.
So
So he can guard 1 through 5, 1 through 6. Put another body out there.
Why
He'll
not?
guard him. All right, guys. Be sure to follow these fellas on social media, Brenden and Frankie. Be sure to also check out all of their work at SactownSports.com and the Sactown Sports app. And follow us on social media, Sactown Sports on Instagram and, of course, on X. Thanks a lot, guys. We will talk to you soon, and hopefully after a couple of victories, huh?
I don't know.
All right.
See you next week.
Appreciate you, Tubbs.
1 o'clock.
Oh, it's crazy.
1 o'clock. Let's go through this robust schedule that the Kings have coming up and a team that we need to monitor for a possible move. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety